Your son's doing a great job, Dan.
No shit, Sean. No shit. It's unfortunate. What is going on again? Welcome to the all-new Oregon Ducks Live right here on the Oregon Channel Voice College Football. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Consider hitting that like button as you come in. Help the show a lot. And if you're new here, consider the subscription button. Get those notifications. Without further ado, we'll get right into this. We've got our guys Derek and apparently tonight's Bottom Bear.
No explanation needed.
No explanation.
Oh, what's up, guys?
Bottom Bear. Oh my God, I didn't even see that.
It's been like 40 minutes since I changed that.
Oh, what the hell did I do?
That's what I said. No explanation needed.
Shit.
I should probably that's more appropriate.
Yes, Spaz. Yeah, you get down there where you belong.
But how about those Ducks this week?
Yeah, how about those Ducks? I mean, that's about as thorough of an ass kicking as you can get. I think if we had the option to go forward and see what happened on Saturday and have it play out, we'd choose this 100 out of 100 times. I think this was like the best possible case scenario as to how this weekend could have played out.
Yeah.
We're getting the game details, but I have nothing to complain about on mine. For the most part, we get some little nitpicky things. Obviously, everyone can have a little. This could.
Penalties. I'm actually here as Kenny from South Park.
Kenny wasn't finished.
Hey, but it looks pretty close.
And he's like 10 years old.
Yeah, it's
Little Red Riding Hood.
This is Kenny grown up and homeless. Or something.
It seems pretty fitting to me, honestly. That's a hell of a costume.
Oh shit! Oh,
That's right. How the hell do I forget when my birthday was yesterday? Happy Halloween, everyone! I know we should have done a little more. I didn't have my mask ready. My T-Rex is still having a little malfunction, but I just didn't feel like getting the other one out. So happy Halloween, everyone! I know Tony's in here. He's probably dressed up as like Little Red Riding Hood or something like that. That's what Spaz is, Little Red Riding Hood.
I thought Little Red Riding Hood was cuter than that.
She's had a rough life.
Hey, what we can tell.
That wolf did some damage to her.
oh shit! See what I have to put up with, guys? Abuse both sides, the coach's side and the sideline reporter both.
Let's look at this. Let's look at this review here, this Utah game. Because there's a lot to talk about. We did a lot on Saturday, but there's still some things now you can kind of go back, probably watch some of the highlights, kind of reprocess things, watch the post-game interviews, and stuff like that. We'll talk about that. But as most people, especially if they're watching this show, remember, in the sense of the score, dominant, the yardage, not even, to a degree, it was still dominant, but the Ducks really only had like 390 yards of offense, in part because of the defense and the defensive takeaways. But they didn't really have to do a lot outside of like 3 drives.
No, not at all. That's not. We know the Utah defense is, typically stingy. So, 390 yards of offense total. It was a fairly balanced attack all the way around, and they were moving the ball, however they wanted to at that point. It was a hell of a game. It was very well executed. You could tell they went in there with a certain game plan, and they followed through on that game plan from start to finish. So it was really nice to, to see that complete game Dan always talks about. We saw 4 quarters where they looked absolutely dominant, all 4 quarters. And, that's something I'm not sure we've seen yet at this point this year. I'm not really counting Portland State. in the conversation, nor really Hawaii. But yeah, it was really nice to see everything kind of tied together, see what this team is truly capable of, on both ends of the ball. The offense, the defense looked great. Special teams played near flawlessly. It was a great effort all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, Lanning said it in the post-game walk-off, he's like, that was our first 4-quarter of the year. And that's what I want to see, and that's what I hope to see from here on out is the intensity and effort like this for the rest of the season. This is what we've been striving for. We're there now. Let's just keep the bus moving down the tracks.
And I mean, again, too, just like I said, 390 yards offense, 35 points. One, that's efficient. But the star of the game was the defense. The defense held Utah scoreless in the second half, even after the fumble by Bucky Irving, which is the only second turnover and first fumble of the year for Oregon. The defense held them to a field goal, immediately. The defense was the star, really, of this game. The offense just had to go do what they do. The defense, though, they were not playing around. We talked about it before. Dorless was immediately disruptive in the middle. They put him in the middle and just let him ball rush. And Evan Williams, I don't know where he's come all of a sudden. I've seen him in games where he looked out of place, a little lost and confused. In this game, he was just trying to kill people. And just straight murder people on the field.
Yeah, and he was doing a hell of a job of it, too. I mean, I think we're all thinking of that play on special teams, where the guy's approaching the sideline and he absolutely wallops him. Yeah, but like you said, the last couple of weeks, the dude has absolutely come out of his shell. It's, we knew he was kind of this caliber of player coming out of Fresno State. He was been an all-conference player, all-conference honorable mention last year, so we kind of knew what we were getting. But I think, like you kind of mentioned, right now is when we're seeing him really come out and kind of show us exactly who he is on the field. And that's paying dividends, not only on defense, but in the special teams as well.
Yeah, he absolutely obliterated Barnes on that last throw of the game. I think Ben texted in our group saying, "Oh my God, I think he just got murdered."
Yeah, I mean, that was fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And they were still out there like, we are not allowing you to have any more luxury in this game at all. I love that.
And who was it? Tysheem Jackson that got 2 interceptions on the defense?
Yeah, Tysheem Jackson.
Yeah, a guy we haven't heard much of this season. And then Saturday, he just had the game of his life.
And credit to him. One was just being in the exact right place. Both of them in the right place. The one where Vaki was trying to do like an angle route and he stopped on his route. Mm-hmm. Barnes just kind of threw it to Jackson to the pressure. The other one though was a phenomenal cut the receiver off, dove for it, and took it away. That one was phenomenal. But yeah, Tysheem Jackson just came out of nowhere in this game all of a sudden.
And we didn't have a lot of sacks per se, but we had a lot of pocket disruption. Barnes was having to be on his heels every snap. Darn near there was somebody coming at him. He wasn't able to sit back there and just wait and throw the ball 10 seconds later, and it showed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing about what we're seeing this year, something that we haven't really been seeing in the years previous, is the amount of secondary blitzes they're bringing in, the safety blitzes, the corner blitzes, and these things have been highly, highly effective. We've seen Jay Flo, Kyrie has multiple sacks this year. Bennett Williams has multiple sacks this year. They're bringing these dudes kind of off the edge, and it's like, they're doing it sparingly, but when they do it, shit's highly effective. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to see that they're kind of coming up with these creative pressures to get to the quarterback. And you can tell, it pays dividends. These guys do not look comfortable whatsoever. And Bryson Barnes was no exception. The dude was constantly moving, constantly trying to flee the pocket and extend these plays where they just weren't there. The secondary was absolutely doing their job. the entire game. Linebackers played near flawlessly. It was really, really kind of cool to see that defense kind of be what we know they could be in every unit of the game. You guys brought up the defensive line getting in there, which is great. We've seen flashes of it. We've seen flashes of great linebacker play. We've seen flashes of great secondary play, but this is the game where it was all tied together.
Yeah, pressure was the name of the game in this one. Like, again, letting Dorless just go right up the middle multiple times, just disrupting it, making Barnes move. It was nonstop, relentless, and then, like you said, the blitzes, which is funny because there was I think it was a 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. We brought a blitz and they got a first down. And I text you guys. I was like, I think maybe we should stop blitzing on 3rd down so much. And then immediately the next one was like an 11-yard sack. And I was like off I think a Jackson blitz. And I was like, never mind. Like, it's like, I guess if you get 50-50 on them, I mean, that's still good.
Yeah, it's like I feel like they pick it very sparingly when they use it, especially those, when you're bringing corners off the edge, like that can get very, very dangerous depending on, if they're reading the coverages properly and who's kind of on the outside. But the blitz is absolutely the name of the game.
Yeah, and our, I love the Fox announcers too. I always like Gus Johnson, and he never seems to be a homer for anybody. He's kind of the underdog kind of guy as well. And him and Joe Clapp both were saying by the end of that game how different Oregon's defense is this year and in years past versus where it's been in the last 4 or 5 years, and how you're starting to see that SEC type of smash it football with Oregon and then the other I like hearing that, and then the talk of like other teams, unlike other teams, Oregon has a defense where certain teams might get 100 scored on them this weekend just because they ain't got no defense. And to hear the announcers, talk that way just cracks me up. That tells you how believable they are in what Oregon has this year.
When I wrote my notes for that game, I said the announcing was fantastic. Fox does a really good job of announcing their games. And I like Joel Platt. I like Gus Johnson. Some people don't like Gus Johnson that much. But I know Platt, especially if you watch the show the next day and the next day, very high praise. Very, very high praise for the whole team, but especially the defense. Just saying how disruptive they were. And we know Utah is not the Utah it would be with Rising or some of their other guys. They're banged up. They're beat up. We know this. But to go into Salt Lake City and just shut them down, that was enough where it was like, okay, now that's impressive.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if any of you guys were able to catch the college football rankings show, when they were kind of release those today. But both Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit, they kind of alluded to that too. How Dan Lanning's taken that SEC defense style that he's been notorious for having in both Alabama and Georgia, and kind of bringing that to the pack. And they both had mentioned how they're like, this team absolutely could win a national championship. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, nothing like that. It's just the fact that that's actually a conversation.
No curses.
Yeah, no, it's just the fact that that's even a conversation at this point when we're talking about the defense. You know what I mean? So we've had great offenses before, obviously, 2010, 2012, 2014, some great offenses, and the defenses weren't too shabby either. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that this defense right now is arguably, I don't know if you guys are agreeing, I think this is the best defense that I've ever seen the Ducks have. Just as a cohesive unit, the amount of pressure they're able to apply. At least in the last, we'll go back to even the Chip Kelly days, just because, that's the most modern era. There's nothing that's even close to this defense in particular. The Cliff Harris defenses, like those were great and they had some great elements, but it's not the same. This looks very different.
This is the kind of defense this is the kind of defense that we wished Oregon had when they played an Ohio State in the BCS or whatever, and then when they played the other team against Auburn and Cam Newton, we had this kind of a defense, then Oregon would have been sitting on 2 national championships already.
Well, that's why I wanted to start with the defense, given the praise that they deserve, because they were the story of this game. The 2010 defense, I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, yeah, let's say it lost 20 years. 2010 and 2019 were probably the best defenses Oregon's had. 2014 was lackluster. It did its job, but the offense was so proficient. But you think 2010, that was a 22-19 game against the two highest scoring offenses in the country that year. That was a defensive struggle fest. So that defense showed up, but this one's just different with the pressure that they're constantly bringing. And now we have the corners that can actually do shutdown like beneath that, like Ekre Oliver and stuff like that. Or now we have Evan Williams is coming on. I don't know if he's going to be like Cliff Harris, but at least he's out there doing what he needs to do to be aggressive. I wouldn't want to compare Evan Williams to Cliff Harris or anything like that, or John Boyette or something like that, but that'd be a little unfair to him and pretty high praise at the same time, but he's coming into his own already. That's good. Offense, what did you guys think? Because I think I know I texted you guys during that first drive and I said, run the ball. Hell no, we're just throwing that thing. I mean, he threw it 5 times in a row, to start the game or something like that. After the false start, or after the delay of game right at the beginning, which I was like, well, that didn't go well.
Yeah, I think that was a little different, and I think that's what kind of knocked Utah off their feet. Was I really think they probably thought we were going to come in with a 2-headed monster with James and Bucky and try to run it at him, hit those edge pops and the occasional gut runs, and we just came out throwing the ball, and next thing they knew, we're first and goal at like their 3-yard line or whatever it was, just like that, and we just came in, hit him in the mouth, and didn't stop. And I don't think they were expecting that. They were expecting it to be a battle of the trenches. And when you come out and just to destroy their secondary, which was probably their weakest part of their defense, right out of the gate, they're looking up at the clock going, it's 14-3. What happened? The game just started. And your whole demeanor changes, the fans, everything. I mean, they took the air right out of that stadium in less than a quarter. Very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's damn near, I couldn't say anything else to add to it, really. I mean, it's just the fact that Oregon was moving the ball in whichever way they wanted to. They could run the ball. Between Bucky and Jordan James, they were 19 for 121, averaging 6.3 yards a carry. Bo Nix completing 80% of his passes for 248. Troy Franklin had a Troy Franklin day, 8 receptions, 99 yards, and a tutty. It's like there was nothing that Oregon was not doing well that game. You know what I mean? And I think you're kind of right. I think they came in and they thought, okay, they're probably going to try to move the ball on the ground. That's kind of the identity that they've tried to really instill these past couple of weeks here. It's probably what we're going to see. It wasn't the case. It was such a well-balanced, articulate attack. Like, I feel like the game planning in this game was better than we've seen at any other point throughout this year. It felt like they had Utah's number. They knew what to do exactly in every down and distance. It was very comfortable all the way through.
And I think that's it. They came with a very aggressive mindset in this game. Going, we're not here to screw around. We're just going to throw it on you. We're going to move the ball. It's not going to just be the Marty Cristobal hard-nosed, just one-dimensional where you can project the next play, literally. Like, they're going to run the ball. Oh, they ran the ball. Shocking. This one was like, let's change it up. Because I think, if I remember correctly, the end of the half, Knicks was 16 of 18 for, I mean, it was only like 150 yards, but I mean, 16 of 18, 150 and 2 touchdowns. Or maybe one touchdown, one rushing, I think, at the end of the half. That's as efficient as you can get. And a couple of those multiple passes, he finished 24 for 31, 248, 2 touchdowns, no picks. At least 3 of those incompletions were drops. Like they were there, they had a chance to get caught. Maybe a little off, but they were dropped.
The one by Franklin. Oh.
Yeah, the deep shot to Franklin on the sideline. That was probably the hardest one that kind of got dropped. I think one of them he threw away, maybe. Other than that, that's an efficient day, though. That's an efficient day.
Can either one of you guys tell me the last time you saw an Oregon team, 8 games into, what are we, 8 games in? Yeah. 8 games into the season with only 2 turnovers in 8 games.
That's unheard of for a lot of teams ever. 8 games, only 2 turnovers, and again, even the fumble by Bucky, he got hit by the defender. The defender took it away from him. Great play by the defender, but what caused the fumble more was because he hit the lineman as he got tackled. That actually caused the fumble more than just the defender. But great play by Utah on that one. But yeah, 1 fumble and 1 pick. That's it.
8 games.
It's an impressive number. I mean, that's why Oregon's points per game and point differential is so high.
Yeah,
not letting the other team just have these easy opportunities, unlike at Tech where block punt.
Yeah.
And then just letting Shuck, who's out, we run all over the place. This defense since that game has adjusted beautifully and let the offense just do what they need.
We're not averaging 49 points a week giveaway.
No. Shots fired.
I will say I was surprised. We did see one of the firings that we were thinking we would see, but I didn't think we'd see it till the end of the year with Brian Ferentz being tossed out of Iowa.
It's not fired. He resigned. He agreed to resign. There is a difference, but it basically is like you're out of here. You're out of here, guy. That's basically what it is. I mean, they said if you don't make this point per game on his contract, he didn't, and they held him to it. And they're like, you will never make this up by the end of the year. You're out of here. And he's like, all right. I mean, he signed a contract. He realized he's not going to make it. So at least he owned it.
Wow, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, it was 24 points a game. He had the average.
Oh, wow.
To include special teams and defensive touchdowns. And they couldn't even do that.
Yeah, what are they averaging? Like 7.3?
Maybe offensively.
Yeah, it's bad. It's watching that team is like pulling your own freaking teeth out of your skull.
Which has to bring me to a point, though, because when we went into the season, we were nervous about Will Stein a little. Like, I was confident, I believed in Dan Lanning's choice, and we knew what he did at UTSA. And we said, okay, he's not going to screw up the system. Even he said, I'm not going to change this too much. He has still dramatically changed it to the personality he has, made it his own, and it's just like, whatever, no biggie. That man is playing, his play calling is, for the most part, pretty fantastic. There's been some hit and miss here and there, but
do you have the
full OC?
Yeah, do you have the numbers, Ben, or know how to find the numbers, just out of curiosity, of how close we are? I know it's super close, numbers-wise, run versus pass.
Yeah, I can look this up while you guys talk about Stein.
I mean,
I can look.
It's pretty equal, and that's what's throwing a lot of these teams off teams are expecting them to come one way, and they might come the other way and then slide in the back way. And next thing you know, you're going, what just hit us? Because they went wham, wham, came around both sides and ducked you all the way around.
So when we came into the season, we thought Stein was going to be more pass happy, and we saw that for a few games where it was like, okay, he does want the passing offense. He also wanted a running quarterback. What he hasn't done is actually run mix almost at all. He's had a few designs and then a couple scrambles, but really he has not run the ball. Right now, Oregon has complete 284 pass attempts to 260 carries.
Wow.
Almost dead 50-50.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, it does so many things, especially with a quarterback like Bo. You know what I mean? That makes that play action just that much more deadly, where the corners, they can't get comfortable. They can't start crashing the box. You can't stack the box because, we see what Bo Nix did here. Utah tried to stack the box early on in this game, and it was not going in their favor. They were throwing it over the top. How do you stop it? You know what I mean? Because you key in on Bo Nix and, trying to stop the pass attack, and you have a two-headed absolute friggin' monster waiting in the backfield for you. Or you stack the box, you crash your backers, and then you have a Troy Franklin, a Bo Nix, and, that wide receiving core to deal with.
I'm just impressed mostly, and the announcer said it multiple times, for both Bucky and James. Just their balance. They're getting hit, tossed sideways, falling over, and still stumbling and balancing and rolling and keep going. And I'm like, that's hard to do while maintaining where you're about holding the ball and where you're going.
And you got Dowdell who could come in and give you a breather if needed for one or two chunk plays. And almost every time he's touching the ball, he's getting, 3, 4, 5 yards a carry, if not more.
That's it. There's multiple guys. This is without Whittington. Imagine if you had the three-headed monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously they're trying to rotate James.
We haven't even
pretty
thought
evenly
of Whittington for the last couple of weeks.
They haven't skipped a beat. Absolutely no disrespect to Noah Whittington whatsoever. I more than understand the value he brings to this team, but at the same time, they have not missed a beat whatsoever. The dudes have just kept on churning. The reps go up, and the production continues to climb with the reps. So it's not like these dudes are scrubs getting a couple touches a game and breaking one big one to skew their stats. Like every time these guys touch the ball, it's very rare that you see them go down on the first tackle. You know what I'm saying? Like the Jordan James, the Bucky Irvings of the world, they run through 3 arm tackles before they're dragged down 6 yards down the field.
Well, that's it. Because
and again, that's to the O line too, because they're opening holes to where these guys aren't being sucked 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage with a linebacker or safety coming at them, because the O line is spread it out and they're able to get. Even if it's only a couple of yards, but they're able to get into that spot to get that 2-3 yards before somebody hits them, instead of being hit 2-3 yards in the backfield or trying to outmaneuver a guy 2-3 yards in the backfield.
Well, not just the O-line in general too, but the O-line has a huge part to it, and that O-line has come together very nicely, as we kind of were worried about. And that's it. Whittington has been dinged up most of the year, so he has not had many opportunities, and now he's, probably done. But that's it. Between James and Irving, Jordan James has 63 carries, 501 yards, 8 touchdowns. Irving, 101, 732 yards, 8 touchdowns. Averaging 7.2 yards, and James averaging 8 yards a carry. That's stupid numbers.
2 backs running, averaging 7 and 8.
Over 7 yards a carry, yeah.
Wow.
You get a good back that runs 4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
4.5. You're like, all right, good, sweet. You get over 5-6 yards a carry every time, almost, on average. Jeez, good luck to that defense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just can't key in on one thing. I mean, we've been able, as Oregon fans, we've been pretty fortunate with having LaMichael and then Kenyon in the backfield, and then Kenyon, LaMichael, and DeAnthony, and Rolls Royce kind of thrown in there toward the end. We've had some great, even Byron Marshall.
We've been spoiled.
Yeah, it's unreal to give Bo Nix these type of backs in the backfield to kind of take some of that pressure off him. It's a Heisman caliber quarterback. You have two running backs who could be an RB1 in many, many, many programs across the country. I see a lot of people though kind of say, "Oh, Bucky doesn't have the yards." I'm like, there are not many running back ones in this country who are damn near evenly splitting carries with another back. Like that shit, it's not happening, and he's still putting up these numbers. That shit is insane.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about it extensively Saturday with the Utah game. We just went over a little more details. I guess the only thing I had in that game, like I said, we said nitpick things. As you said, some of the penalties. I would say I was going to be very nitpicky to say some of the third down conversions, but I think that was more credit to Utah's defense settling down. Finally, kind of after the shock of the first little over a quarter of play, they kind of settled in just a little bit there for the rest of the half. But that's getting nitpicky, I think, in some ways, when you're up 21-3 already and you're taking the home crowd out.
Yeah.
Especially when the defense is playing like it was.
That's fair. I think the only thing that I watched that entire game that I would kind of like to see cleaned up, if you will, it actually comes from Bo Nix, which is ironic enough, but he's leaving a lot of wide receivers open, so like when you go back and you watch the film of some of these plays and you kind of get to see it from a different perspective, especially when you're looking at like a whole field view. I can think of one in particular. It was a third down. He tried to squeeze a ball into Troy Franklin. Meanwhile, there was a T-Ferg on the sidelines with absolute, I think the nearest man was about 13 yards out. You know what I mean? So it's the fact that some of those are being left on the table. We saw that again in the Washington game, which actually costed us at one point. There's another third down where he missed a wide open man. On the fourth down play, there was another wide open guy. It's just, I feel like he's kind of getting locked into these first and second reads. Meanwhile, it's, reads 3 and 4 are just kind of like in the back of his mind. And that's, partially just due to the fact that, one, he knows what the defense is going to look like, who's likely going to be open where, at what time. It's just, when it doesn't necessarily play out that way or it's breaking down a little bit, I feel like he's locking in on one of these guys. Meanwhile, we're seeing a Trayshawn Holden or we're seeing a T-Ferg kind of running up the sideline going, hey,
I think I said that during the about the 10th game, too.
And then,
watching it live, I was
and
like,
that's where
there was guys over the middle of the field.
Those situations are when in the past you would see Bo Picks show up.
Yeah, and it's like
this year you haven't. That's the only difference in that.
Yeah, it's the thing is, like, when I say this, this is me being extremely nitpicky. This is not me looking at him saying, this is your fatal flaw. This is why we're not going to, that's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But if I have to choose something, I would say it's that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the difference between now and then is back in the Auburn days, we'd see Bo try to make these incredible throws and fit these balls in these tight little windows. And now he kind of understands that, okay, maybe I'm not doing that. We're seeing him throw the ball away. I mean, people are going to knock him for all this check down throws, but the way I'm looking at it is like you could either throw these 50-50 balls or you can get the ball into the hands of your playmakers and give them the space to kind of operate how they do,
Let's see what their yak is. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's part of what being a quarterback is just get it to the open guy.
Get it to the guy and let him hit the yak yards.
Yeah, I mean, because right now, of course, Bo is 55 starts in. 54 55. Basically the longest term, most experienced starting quarterback in FBS history.
Mm-hmm.
And he still has 4, 5, 6, 7 more games, potentially, depending on how far the season goes. Then he's also on pace right now to set the FBS completion percentage record in a season. He's at 78 point something percent right now. If he keeps it up, he could break the completion percentage record.
Yeah. I'm never going to knock him.
That says he's being smart with the ball. He's not forcing it. That's what you don't want to do as a quarterback, force it. And like you said, this year he's not even scrambling that much unless he absolutely has to. He's staying there. He's making decisions.
Yeah, he's shown us that he can be a pocket passer too. I mean, obviously we know what he's capable of doing with his legs. If he wanted to scramble, if he wanted to get outside the pocket, I think that's more than within his capabilities. Just, based off his athleticism, kind of what we've seen last year where he was a little more mobile. But
that was definitely a Dillingham system, and I loved it. But with the ankle injuries this year, I think Stein pulled off of that for good reason, I think, in a way, unless absolutely 100% necessary. Kind of thing,
And that's kind of what I'm thinking too. I think, say when we get into this USC game in a couple weeks, or we get down to the Oregon State game, or if we're fortunate enough to get back to the Pac-12 championship game, for example, like these are situations where I think if it warranted it, we'd see Bo Nix kind of turn this on and them open it up a little bit more. Like I truly do believe it's well within the playbook. They're really kind of saving it for when they feel like it's, like you said, it's absolutely necessary. It's dire. If your season's on the line, of course, you're going to open up absolutely everything you have. It's just, if he doesn't need to, and he's completing at 80% of his passes, and he's handing the ball off, and these guys are running for 6 yards a carry, and Troy Franklin's averaging 103 yards a game. Why do you need to do that? You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice to know that's in their back pocket, because I truly believe we're going to see that come at some point where we're going to see Bo Nix have a game where all of a sudden, he's averaging something like 8-9 yards a game right now. We'd see that up to 60, 70 yards again. Like, I believe that game is coming.
Yeah, the playbook is not open in the sense of the running game in that regard. I think that's like a page in the back they're like holding. Be like, no, we're saving this for the big games, like when they really, really need it. Mm-hmm. Let's I don't want to totally drop into it, but let's give some love for Kyle Whittington. Obviously, we had the Utah guys on last week for the the game preview, and then the post game, Kyle Whittington. That's never fun as a player or a coach to sit there after that type of beating, and that man is the epitome of just class. He went in, zero excuses, was like,
yeah, we got our asses
that was ugly. I mean, zero excuses. He brought up some injuries, but it's like, hey, that's the ugly part of the game. His least favorite part of the game. He's like, hey, you got to work with what you got, and we didn't do it. He made zero excuses. He's like, yeah, we just got to regroup. I'm like, is he not like maybe the classiest coach in the conference at least? If not, maybe all of FBS.
It's one of the things I respect about Kyle Whittingham is he's always been a class act, win, lose, or draw. You never see him go on any of these tirades or anything, making bazillions excuses. He tells it like it is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's one of those coaches where no matter who you ask in the country, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find a group of fans that say, no, I don't like him for whatever reason. He's humble when he wins. He's straightforward when he loses. He's going to tell you like it is, and that's it. Like you said, he's not out here making this extra noise. He's not on these national shows saying, oh, this is what we're going to do, or, kind of even just talking in general. He's a very, business-oriented dude, and that's kind of, I respect the hell out of him. I think they're going to go and dominate the Big 12 next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once they're healthy, they are doing that. So, but what they have has been impressive, regardless. So, I think the only problem, the mistake Whittingham made on Saturday was they jinxed themselves by him riding out on the motorcycle. How dare you, Kyle, steal the duck motorcycle intro? How dare you? Maybe that was on Friday. I'm not sure which one it was, but how dare you?
Hey, I'll give him credit. He looked like a badass.
He's a buff dude. I wouldn't want to get in the fight like that.
Dude, I can't be the only one who was kind of surprised when he got out there. I was like, dang, that dude is fit. You know what I mean? Yeah. He looks like he can still step out on the field.
But then, of course,
speaking of fit coaches, how's the scene down there in LA there, Derek? A little wild today, I hear, in the press down there. People calling for reimbursements.
Ironically enough, that is about I live about 30 minutes from the Rose Bowl. It's like 12 miles up the road or something.
Yeah, I was going to start the show and going, wonder how much the value of the alleged items were missing.
I don't know. It's like, I think it's crazy that I saw someone bring it up, and I actually looked it up, and I was like, I didn't even hear about it last year, but last year Jackson State had their locker room broken into, and some stuff was stolen out of their locker room as well. And then this year, another Deion coach team.
Wait a minute. So this same scenario happened to Jackson State last year too? Somebody on Deion's staff is a thief.
Granted, for everyone listening, it's all speculation. No one knows what the hell happened, but I know that was kind of what some people on social media were saying too. And I'm like,
inside job.
Yeah,
yeah,
I get why you would say that. It makes sense to me. It's just nobody has enough facts to look at it and say, you guys did this, motherfuckers. But
I liked it best. Last night. It was last night or the night before. I guess it was Sunday night or Saturday. Maybe it was late Saturday night. I think it was a Monday night show for Unnecessary Roughness. They were like, why in the hell are you taking jewelry to an other opposing campus thing? Because, it's all the flash.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I don't even want to know how much approximately whatever it was valued at. But it's like, why would you even take it?
No, say it's just someone in the community. You know what I'm saying? For example, you turn on Colorado football, and what's the first thing you see? Shador with his AP wrist,
$10,000 necklace, $10,000 watch.
So you're telling me Colorado's a swaggy team, right? Yeah. That's a fact. That's nothing. I like it. I like that about a team, in all honesty. But with that being said, when you're carrying, tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, on your wrists and on your neck and stuff, like, the fact that you bring that with you to the game is wild. Now, that's not me saying I think it should have happened. It is absolutely crazy that their own locker room is not safe, where they can't keep their own stuff in their locker room. That shit's unacceptable. But it's just wild.
It is LA. I don't think Shador lost his watch. I'm just saying it was, it's a Rolex, so it's probably $5,000-$10,000.
Yeah,
the point is, when a piece of jewelry is $5,000 to $10,000, probably or more. You're just asking for attention and trouble. And I don't mind the swag either. That's fine. Do you?
Yeah, but leave it at your hotel, not at the game in your locker room, you idiot.
Yeah, it's just it's that type of stuff because they wear it in the workouts, like on the field. I'm like, you're just showing off to people, And so sometimes there's a limit between swag and a little cockiness and just caring. That's where Colorado started kind of has lost a lot of people. Just like, dude, you guys are 4-4. You probably are not even going to go to the bowl game at this point. Especially after losing to Stanford. Stanford was like your gimme game.
Yeah.
So
when you're up by 29, it's just, it shouldn't have happened, but it's. You got to use a little common sense as well. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know.
I don't have to get a buff tattoo. That's all. Dan Lanning's meeting today. Very generic, of course. But I as usual, the one thing that I always like that he says and that he hears after the game, he's like, what did we do wrong? Or what can we get better at? They're like, everything stuff. All the players are like, no, we're not there yet. We're still not, because he even said this team is good. They're not great. November will decide if they're great or not. So it's not over yet, and that's kind of the thing. Don't let the team get in this kind of sleep cycle at the end of the season going, hey, we're good. We can just coast.
No, that's one thing I love about Dan. So I had on, this afternoon when I was kind of going through myself.
Oh, that's right. Of course you would say that about your dad.
I love my dad. If everybody in the chat didn't know, I am Dan Lanning Jr. My father, he runs a tight ship up in Eugene. But I was watching, between the cinematic recap and, what we were able to see there, and then Dan Lanning's post-game presser and Dan Lanning's presser today. my girlfriend, she's like, he's a really great speaker. Like, he does a really great job getting these guys like fired up, doesn't he? And I was like, you know what? He does. He is
there was a great question. They're like, do you like write speeches, take time to practice doing this stuff? And he's like, no, but I did take a speech class in college or whatever, one of the local college, the community college you went to or whatever way back when. He's like, I did take a speech course. I was like, that maybe that's where it came stuck with him.
You tell me Dan Lanning didn't ace the speech class. The man is just like, he's got all these analogies and shit. And like, I'm listening to it. I'm getting hyped up watching this stuff on my couch. I can only imagine what it's like to throw on the pads and, want to go to war for that man. He through and through is a player's coach. And that's what I absolutely love about him. You can tell the love is contagious around that program. You can tell he cares about the players. You can tell the players absolutely care about him. It's kind of nice to see that, especially after, we felt like we've been abandoned multiple times by other coaches with a foot out the door. He feels like he's here for it. And it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see that in the recruiting side now too.
Yeah, we're going to get into that too. But yeah, the recruiting since he came in to salvage the class and build up transfers in that first season was impressive already for a first-time coach with a new staff, and it's just continuing to keep building. And we're going to get into that here kind of at the end segment. One thing I didn't put it on my notes. I didn't send you guys that was one thing when we were talking about his fire and stuff too. Is did you guys see? And I don't have the channel in front of me. Unfortunately, I don't remember what it was. But they did one with Dan Lanning too, I think. Pretty sure. But they did one with Josh LaFoy. It was like a 25-minute interview in the brief room, basically, and talking about his experiences and working with Lanning and stuff like that. And that gave a lot of good insight into LaFoy also. Last year he was kind of the, damn it, LaFoy, your defense, and then this year you see what he can do when he has the guys that they need.
Yeah, that interview you were talking about, that was really kind of cool. I mean, I didn't really get to see. I've seen the quote unquote highlights of Tasha's, but I did watch the entire hour and some change of Dan's, and that was really where you can kind of see that fire and that passion that he kind of brings to the team. You know what I mean? It's like, even in these little standard questions when he's talking about his day-to-day life, you can tell he approaches it from a very like serious, business-minded, like business first, we're gonna do this until we do it perfect mindset. And it's like,
are you guys talking about the coaches show on Facebook on the Oregon channel?
No. This was a whole different featured interview series with like Dale Lanning, LaFoy, and stuff like that. It was really well done.
If you guys belong to the Oregon football channel on Facebook, every Tuesday or Wednesday night, they post the live stream of the Coach Lanning show every week with Jerry Allen and Mike Jorgensen. They do it from the studio on campus.
Okay, yeah, they're really big with the actual.
And they have Lanning's in there the first like 45 minutes, and they usually bring a couple players or other staff members in there. It's a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently so. He was bottom bear. That's why he didn't changed it.
Yeah, I don't know where the hell the bottom bear went. We know what his real name was. It's on the internet now, Spaz. You started the show out as Bottom Bear.
That's gonna be a short of me saying Bottom Bear, get where you belong.
Get on the bottom where you belong.
Clicking that right now. Mark will be like, I thought I told you no more shorts.
Just only the important ones, Mark. It's fine.
Exactly.
Right.
Let's get right into it because obviously this is the.
Well, I have one final thing to do for the game, for the Utah game.
What?
Oh, what's the final?
We saw the final score.
No. We're doing that. We're doing that later. That's later in the show. Pay attention.
I always thought we did that. Okay.
No, we do it at the end of the show.
We do the.
We know the details. I did the math again. That's why I put in the text in the email. F you.
Oh god, he's very excited for it.
Yeah, you got to find a technicality. Not our point dictator rules this week. Let's just dive right into the Cal Golden Bears.
I don't think our defense is going to give up 49 points and 300 yards on the ground to Cal this week, so I think we're okay there.
That was not a pretty game. I will give Cal credit, though. It is shocking because what is Will Cox known for? Defense. This year, their defense sucks.
Yeah.
And their offense is actually kind of decent, but then again, every team offensively looks great against USC. That has been proven this season for the most part.
Yeah, the Cal defense is absolutely atrocious. I'm looking at some of the rankings here right now, and out of, granted, this is with FCS included, their total defense nearing 200 overall.
They allow 103 yards more a game than Oregon on average. And that's still got to be 70s, 80s in the FBS. Probably.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range.
The only thing they do well, statistically at least speaking, is run the ball. They run the ball well. That's about where that ends. And that, we've seen what one-dimensional teams, what happens when that Oregon defense lines up across from them.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. As much as USC guys want to always say, well, it's the last game between USC and Cal. It's Cal. With all due respect to Cal, it's Cal. Oh, we were at Cal. No one goes to Cal games. No one goes to Cal games. So don't even say they have a home field advantage. Now Cal is going to Autzen. That's a different monster.
Strawberry Canyon was last Saturday was probably the loudest I've heard it in 20 years. I swear to God. And there was actually a lot of cheering for Cal because they were, I think even the USC fans were hoping that Cal would knock them off so that maybe they might be able to fire some coaches. It was that bad. It was like
this is an Autzen. So what happened last week too is what happened. Cal had a protest on the field.
Yeah, it was a pregame thing for like 2 minutes. I don't know what.
I don't know what it was. I just saw the photos. It was like protesters delay the game, and they're sitting in the middle of the field. I'm like, only at Cal, only at Cal.
That sounds about right. Yeah, especially NorCal. Yeah,
there's nothing there in Berkeley.
That will not be happening at Autzen.
No, I don't think we're going to see any protests this weekend.
So, and I mean, Cal's biggest problem so far, after going through their protest because the professor was suspended. Oh, okay. I'll have to look into that because I didn't see what it was about. That could be it. I was assuming it was something about climate or something like that. Honestly. Cal's biggest problem this year seems to be their quarterback. Like, they have 3 guys that have all thrown, like, basically just equaled out to 90 attempts each. I don't know if they've got injured or they just haven't done good because they all have a 3, 4, 2 picks, limited touchdowns. I don't know what's going on with the quarterback situation.
Yeah, I got their stats pulled up here too. I didn't know that they had 3 quarterbacks who have all played meaningful minutes either. But man, you want to talk about consistency and mediocrity. Go across their numbers. They are so consistently similar. And
that's what I'm looking at too. I'm like, okay.
I mean, I'm talking
572, 556, 6 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 3 picks, 4 picks, 2 picks. I'm like, are they injured? I really have no idea.
I probably should have prepared a little bit more because I also have absolutely zero idea how that happens.
I don't know if I can recall a team that has 3 quarterbacks with almost identical stats across the board.
No, I mean, it's kind of similar to Stanford in a way, but that's 2 quarterbacks, and they run vastly different systems. This is 3 quarterbacks, and it looks like they are running the same system all of the time.
That's where I'm kind of confused. I also should have probably gone into Cal's the reasoning behind this beforehand a little more. But I mean, obviously they still have quarterbacks who can throw, and I mean 62.9. That's not a bad position. That's who's starting now, Fernando Mendoza.
That looks like who's going to be starting this weekend.
So he's not terrible. He just hasn't been playing much. But of course, they still have their key weapon has been and still is Jaden Hunt, running back. That man he's a bruiser. I mean, he will hit people. We saw it last year. He's going to keep doing it as much as he can.
Yeah, looking back on it, when they contain him, like the Utah game, for example, the Utah-Cal game I'm speaking on, they were able to contain him to 46 yards total, and Cal did absolutely nothing that game. When he touches the ball and he's effective, they score points. When he doesn't, they don't score points. And I think that bodes well for this Duck defense this weekend.
I think that is probably, I didn't even have it written down like keys to the game, but I think that is probably just like in any year past. You stop the running game, Cal's not going to do anything. And so far, our rush defense is not as quite as stout as it was last year. I think it's because it's more pressure based than last year, not as base, but they're still not allowing that many rushing yards. We're averaging like 102 yards a game. I think it is maybe 110.
Yeah.
Sorry. Rush yards allowed per game, 95.6 and went down. So let's just call it 100. So you keep at like 100 yards even. Cal's not going to do anything. He's going to have one of those like 150, 200 yard games to open up the rest of the offense for them. And I just don't think that's going to happen at Autzen.
No, it's yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't see there's a way it can happen, really. I mean, he's athletic. He's great. Their offensive line, nothing special. I mean, Jaden Knott, obviously, he's a pretty special player in himself, but outside of that, they don't have a lot of high-caliber weapons to turn to, you know? So, I mean, that almost speaks more to how impressive it is they were able to put up 49 on USC, you know what I mean? Because they are fairly one-dimensional, and they still found ways to move the ball.
Dude, that quarterback, knows I guess he played the whole game last time. It was like chunk play on USC the entire game. Let the receivers just do what they do. But I guess again, this is not going to happen. This is not going to be like we're going to do our little predictions here, but this defense isn't USC's defense. And this is going to be a little sleepier game again after the Utah game, plus prepping for USC. This is kind of that. But this team seems to be clicking now at that right time. What do we always say? Championship teams, they can go through the season, but they always improve in November. Mm-hmm. That's when they get really, really, really get focused. And I think to be honest, I think I said it somewhere. The Washington loss, I think, was one, besides the fact it was a good loss. The way we played and just losing by 3 at the end, the chance still to go to overtime and stuff like that. That woke the team up. Now you have no room for error. Now you have to focus. And sometimes a team needs that one kind of kick in the ass.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, you never want to lose. What I'm not saying it's a great thing. If I could go back and change it, absolutely. Yeah, most likely. I I would go back and change it. Obviously, I'd love to be sitting here undefeated, but at the same time, like it's these type of games, early November, where you're going to figure out exactly who this team is. You know what I mean? So if this truly is a championship caliber team, you're not going to see a hangover. You're not going to see them come out and it'd be a 7-3 game in the first quarter. You're going to see them assert their dominance early, and you're going to see it happen often. And I think that's kind of the mindset that Dan Lanning is trying to instill in this team. You could tell just based off what we saw in the cinematic recap post game that they were happy they won, but they weren't. That they understand the job's not done. You know what I mean? It was they had a very okay, what's next approach, and it's great. So to be honest, I'm kind of with you, Ben. I don't think Cal's going to be able to do much of anything this weekend. I think Oregon's going to come ready to play. I don't think it's going to be a letdown game whatsoever. I think we're going to see exactly what we're expecting to see.
Yeah, I saw that pop up. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I wanted to watch it. I just didn't have time. And Tony, you shut your mouth. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, exactly. That was my thought when I heard they were interviewing him. I was like, I love Will Costa. No, please, God, no. Oregon made the right decision.
Yeah.
Spaz, what do you got? What do you got on Cal? Come on, talk Cal. We've been talking Cal for a while now. That means you have to go. You have to go for 10 minutes.
Stanford, they've kind of started to find a quarterback in this Garcia kid. I think is his name. He looked really well the last couple of weeks.
It's Mendoza. Why are we calling Garcia?
What?
It's like Fernando Mendoza.
Garcia Mendoza. Tomato. It's a Spanish name.
All right, so what about him?
I mean, he looked pretty good last week. He had some nice throws, 3 or 4 chunk plays that were just like where the ball was just right on the money. And, they looked pretty good. I was quite surprised. Granted, it was against the, probably the worst defense in the Pac-12, but I mean, still, you have to execute. Regardless of how good or bad the other team is, you still have to execute your plays, and they did that last week. If they wouldn't have had 4 turnovers, and 2 of them were like inside their own 35-yard line, I mean, when you're given a high-powered offense like that, the ball twice inside on their own side of the field, your odds of winning are diminished. But outside of that, if they wouldn't have had those 4, if they would have had 2 of those turnovers, they would have won that game. Yeah. But as is, they didn't, and that California team got lucky one more time, and that's why they're still, for some ungodly reason, they're still ranked. I don't understand, but whatever.
Yeah, Cal is 3-5 in the season, 8th in the Pac-12 rating. And if you guys didn't mention the line of this game already, Oregon is -24.
24. It opened at 27.5. So I mean,
it's down to 24 with an over under 57.5.
I'd move that over under to about 75.
That's more where I'm at too. I think, not giving any betting advice by any means, but I think this game soars over 58. I think Oregon can put up 58.
Yeah. I think it's your mic, and it's got kind of an echo, not echo, but kind of a.
I fixed this thing so many times. I'm so sick of this thing. Maybe that's them. I'm not sure.
It is what it is. You're playing with new equipment, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, new mics, do everything, keep adjusting and tuning everything in. We'll figure it out. We're going to get it done.
That's better.
Yeah, maybe that's all it was. Mid-range. Yeah, but so the line is 24. Still, that's a big line. Minus 24. Not to be surprised, though, when you're taking on, again, a team that's 1-4 in the conference. Not to be surprised.
Well, look, it's our Louisville friend, Austin. What's up, Austin?
He's happy this week.
Yeah, being up to 6, right about where they belong.
Yeah, let's do that quick. The college football playoff rankings came out. 6 is I think that's the sweet spot. That's where we want to be. Leave us there because that means we have the potential to still move up. We're not going to fall, at least. If you're number 5, say we're number 3 at this point, if we had a small slip, you're out. You're probably done. Mm-hmm. Now we're in that kind of nice spot where we control it all. So.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. If Oregon wins out, I don't see a scenario that they don't make the CFP. So, 6 is perfect because, the team ahead of you, UW, obviously you're going to have to go through them to get there anyway. Irrelevant. We kind of mentioned how Ohio State and Michigan play yet. Michigan still got a game with Penn State. There's a lot of shaking up that is still going to happen before these rankings settle down, come the first week of December.
Right now we have obviously Washington 5 in the rankings, Oregon 6. Not shocking. Head to head. It's fine.
Yeah.
Then we've got Oregon State still over there at 16, Utah 18, UCLA 19. I do have a problem. I do understand why USC is them. I don't know why it's 20 so high, but I understand. I guess who else are you going to slot in there? But it's tough. That's tough but that's good also. That means that gives us at least potential hope that maybe another ranked team, depending on what happens with them in Washington this week.
Mm-hmm.
So. Well, yeah, if Oregon wins out and wins a rematch with Washington, obviously Oregon's in, no question asked. I mean, that would have to be some really crazy 3-way tie across the conferences or something where it's like very subjective to be the one team that got left out. There would have to be some something weird would have to happen. I don't think we're going to end up in that scenario. Hopefully. Wouldn't that be a kick in the ass?
Yeah, I don't see it though. I think whoever wins the pack, as long as they're a one loss or less team, I think they're making the CFP. But like you said, man, we know how college football goes. There's some weird shit that happens sometimes. So it's like, we'll see where these roll out after Thanksgiving weekend.
Gentlemen, I need to get a drum roll tab too. There's a few tabs I need to get on this one. In the all fairness prediction score time. FU Spaz, you won by default just because of the least amount of point differential, even though I got the offensive score right. I hate you.
Ben, you've been so close so many times.
I get one score right, and I'm off on the defensive side. Spaz is just a little bit closer. Crap. But we did make a mistake last week. It would have been, this week would have been Sean with 2, Spaz with 2, and Derek with 3 wins. But Derek, you were correct perfectly on the Washington State game. That gave you 2 wins.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I made that mistake. I corrected this week. So, Derek, you are in the lead with 4.
Sweet.
Sean and Spaz have 2, and I am just getting screwed out of my own ideas. As usual.
Well, there we go. Congratulations, Spaz. Back on the board.
Yes.
Should have been listening to you the whole time. I knew it. I knew it, man. When we got off the show last week, I said I should have listened to Spaz. Just like I say every week.
At 10 points.
Shut up, Chris. Well, because Spaz won last week, though, this is not putting him on the spot this week like he claimed that last week, because he knows it's coming. But because he won, he is the first one to bet. Then Derek, then Sean, and then me, and I already made a score projection the other day on the show, so I wrote that one down, and I'm just going to stick with it. I'll tell you what it is, honestly. So, Spaz, your score projection. Oregon versus Cal.
So
He's acting like I put him on the spot. Like, he didn't really do it. Was that
55-10?
okay?
That's fair.
Derek, what about you?
I think I'm kind of with you on the offense, Spaz. I think Oregon's offense has a heyday. I'll give Jaden Ott a little more credit. I'm going to say, potentially they can put up a few more points. I'm going to go something like 52-21.
Ew, okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm kind of in the middle of you guys on their offense, because I do think that this is a little, again, I don't want to call it a hangover game. It's at home, and so is Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
Washington State's falling off the map. And you just got off Utah. Sean's not here to do his prediction. So I kind of went same thing with the offense. They're just going to get it done with, pull their guys, get out of it. 45-17.
Absolutely.
That was the bet I made the other day, or put on the thing, so that's what I had written down. Which is still good. It's not 49 points. USA.
No, I don't necessarily think Oregon has to do that either. You know what I'm saying? So say we come out here and this is another 42-6 game. I'm never going to be upset winning by 40 points, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of if there was points left on the board. It's like if they come out here, they play a complete game, everybody, they get out injury free, the offense kind of cruises, the defense does their job. I don't really care if this game's 35-17 or if this game's 63-0. They get their jobs done. I think everybody's going to be happy in this kind of setting. You know what I mean? Where like this is the potential where they could come out slow. I just don't think it's happening. I think Oregon comes out here. I think they do their jobs, take care of business. I think they cover. I think the game goes over. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, at this point, it's just get through the game. Still be impressive. Don't have these Washington games or these USC escapes. Don't have those. Still be impressive. And then focus on USC.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. That, and then like Oregon State is the ones that really matter the most. But don't trip to Arizona State. That's kind of what these games are. Just get in there, do your thing, get out quickly, as soon as you can.
And that's it kind of reminds me of like a similar approach, to like the Stanford game. You know what I mean? It's like, granted, it's a little different. This game's at home compared to on the road. There's going to be plenty of amped up fans this week compared to nothing on the farm in Stanford. But it's just like, I feel like it's like the mindset going in is very similar. You're getting ready to go into a big game the following week, or, in the Stanford game the following 2 weeks. You just got to go in there, take care of your business any way you can. And I think that's kind of what Dan Lanning is going to be preaching this week. It's hard to get them really hyped up for this game coming off an emotional win in Utah, getting ready to take on USC next week. It's an opportunity. I don't see it happening. If this team is as great as the national media will talk about, they could be, and how much we would love to say it. This is a week where we can learn a lot about this team.
Yeah, we need to go Michigan it most definitely. You got to go out there and score 50, 60 points on this team, and you really got to, you got to win by 55-10, 69-13 or 3 or what. You just got to put up ungodly numbers and show the media and show the college football committee that this is a serious team, that it's all going to come down to the rematch, as long as Washington takes care of their end. And if both teams do that, there is a possibility that, if we're 5-6 right now at the first one and we both win out, and one of us loses the Pac-12 title, let's say it's Washington, we could both get in. It's very, very possible, especially if it's a close game like the last game on a neutral field and it comes down to the end and Oregon pulls it out or whatnot. Now you've got 2 one-loss Pac-12 teams with 2 games within 10 points of each other total. There's a good possibility you might sneak 2 Pac-12 teams into the last CFP.
Hopefully, we have to see what Washington does this week. Honestly, I don't want to take too much time because we have a bunch of slates, or we have one other final topic we're going to talk about. But the Pac-12 slate this week's a little weak. It's kind of that weird week. We got Arizona State at Utah. I think Utah will bounce back, but Arizona State's kind of been figuring it out offensively.
They found an offense all of a sudden.
Obviously, Cal and Oregon. The big one, of course, is
terrible.
Yeah, Washington State's falling off the cliff. I don't know what is going on. The big one, of course, is Washington at USC. Then you've got Stanford at Washington State, Oregon State at Colorado. That one could be interesting, actually.
That one could be interesting.
UCLA at Arizona. Interesting too, actually.
Both teams are 3-2 in the Pac-12, I believe. Both UCLA and Arizona. That could be a big game.
When Arizona coming off that big win, are they going to keep the momentum going? And it's at home for Arizona too, so yeah, that should be helpful. Arizona's going in the right direction. I'm glad we don't play this year.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really turning that program around down there.
Even though this is kind of a shitty slate this week in terms of this is one of those weeks where it's like I feel like there's a possibility we see the cannibalism of the Pac-12 show its face again this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, it's in the years past, it's typically these weekends where you don't really have anything on your radar, where all of a sudden you look at the scoreboard at the end of the night and you go, what the hell happened today? I could see, for example, in a way where a Colorado beats an Oregon State, or a USC upsets UW, or
Yeah, that USC UW game makes me a little nervous, just because, if their defense can do anything remotely to what like Arizona and Arizona State had done lately to that Washington offense, we all know what that offense at USC can do. So, that game can turn.
And it is only a -4 for Washington.
Yeah.
So that's almost like the Oregon game at Washington. It's almost just a point flip in the sense of it.
Yeah, it's just tough with USC because you never really know. Their offense is obviously nothing to scoff at. They have a phenomenal offense. That's not even the question. It's just like if their defense can even get it figured out even a little bit, they have a possibility to be a very dangerous team. It's just there is no signs of life on that defense right now. And if Michael Penix does what I think Michael Penix could do this weekend, Washington should walk through this game. But we also know what should happen and what are going to happen are two very, very different things.
And the biggest problem for USC is they have to host Washington, and then next week they have to go to Oregon.
Yeah.
That's rough.
If they can pull that game, if they can pull this off this weekend and beat Washington, and then have to come here, that's gonna make for an interesting game.
Well, mind you, if they beat Washington this week,
Yeah.
And then that puts the fate back in their hands to go back to the Pac-12 championship the following week in Oregon. So that could set up to be a massive, massive game if USC finds a way to win this weekend. So,
if USC finds a way to win this weekend, I think we may see game day in Eugene next week.
We shall see. It's I don't know. I'm
They've
very
hit Oregon twice, but I don't know if they'll.
Depends on how high they jump. I think in the rankings, but I don't know with that record if they're going to jump more than maybe like 14 if they did, depending on how bad it is or how close it is, whatever.
Yeah, and Oregon would at least be fifth at that point.
As long as we take care of business against Cal,
right?
So that's key number one. It's still Cal. Still have to go and play the game.
Yes, exactly.
I guess the only other big news we had this week was, as everyone already knows it, at least for the three of us, that once again, as we talked about Lanning and McCoy, they just keep getting those big recruits with 4 or 5 star, depending on where you see it. They're getting the commitment from Elijah Rushing after he committed from Arizona. And that's huge because they already have the other 4 or 5 star coming in edge next year also, like Tandos.
Yeah, it's the recruiting landscape. It's just like I'd like a lot of people to go back and think about how they were feeling in about June of this year, where Oregon just whiffed on Justin Williams, obviously committed to Georgia. They whiffed on Nate Frazier, also committed to Georgia at that point, and the whole narrative was, why can't Dan Lanning close? Right? That was the thing. They said, okay, we're close. We've been close multiple times, and we've lost out on plenty of big recruits being in the top 3, top 2, top 5, whatever the case is. Now all of a sudden we're fast forwarding a couple months out, and there's a very, very real possibility Dan Lanning has the opportunity to sign the 1 or 2 ranked class in Oregon history, as well as a top 5 class in all of the NCAA. That's absolutely wild. And it's like, the fact that we're sitting here right now, and I think we're sitting at 6 currently, obviously there's some marbles that are still going to fall, but it's the fact that we're sitting here at this point and we're still in contention for some major, major pieces going forward. We got Jordan Seaton on campus a couple weeks ago, the 5-star offensive lineman out of Florida. He got onto Oregon, fell in love with it, said he wants to come back for another visit. He's projected to be, have Oregon in his top 3. Solomon Williams, another defensive lineman out of Florida. He's one that kind of wasn't on anybody's radar a couple weeks ago. They got him on campus. Same weekend, Jordan Seaton was there. All of a sudden, Oregon's in the conversation. They're picking up some momentum there. We still got, Jericho Johnson. That's another defensive lineman. It's kind of, making his mind up between Oregon, UW. Utah is kind of sneaking in there at the end, but it's probably going to be an Oregon, UW battle for him. But my point being that this class that he's signed right now, particularly in the defensive line, it's phenomenal, arguably the best they've ever had in that position group, and it's not done yet. I don't see a scenario in which another defensive lineman isn't added to that group. So it's like recruiting right now is absolutely insane for being an Oregon fan. It's a really fun time. I think we're going to see, what are we sitting at here, October 31st. We're just entering the late cycle. We have, 50 some days until early signing day. So, you're going to see, I hate to tell people, you're going to see some decommits happen. It happens every year. Like I said, it happened last year. Yeah, that's exactly that. Once we hit the offseason, in particular toward the end of the year, we're talking about transfers. Like, you're going to see some guys leave that are probably going to be playing some semi-meaningful minutes right now, just based on the classes that you have coming forward, what the outlook of the team is in the next couple of years. You're going to see some stuff happen. But I also want to remind people that at this point last year, Oregon was nowhere near in the conversation for Mateo, nor a guy like Jaden Lamar. So, it's like there are some dudes that we're probably going to see close with this class that aren't even on our radar at this point. And it's a really exciting time to be a Duck.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you said we're like number 9 and then we were 6 with them. And that's why it depends on the ranking sites. Because again, some sites have rushing as a 4-star, sometimes 5-star. Depending on where you get your info from. So, but anyways, just to be solidly in the top 10 already, and still on the verge of potentially getting several other key pieces, as well as then thinking about transfer portal, maybe pickups in the off season and stuff like that to fill spots. Like, I'm not going to get into this. We'll say this would have to make the Civil War. They got to figure that out. We have no idea what they're thinking, what they're going to do. So we'll have to wait till off season for that. Though I'm not even going to get into that right now. In landing the Knicks we trust at this moment.
Yeah, that's right. We got to ride it while we got it, right?
I don't even think about that. We'll worry about that next year.
So, any clue on the scandal?
The Michigan scandal?
Yeah.
There's the new video in Central Michigan where there's a guy on the sideline.
Yeah.
People have superimposed the face over it. It literally matches identical to Connor Stallions. And people are like, what the hell? And now CMU is looking in to see if that's him. Apparently, allegedly, they're looking in to see if he was actually on their sideline. I'm like, what is happening around here? What is going on right now?
Did you guys see the picture of his shoes? So if there's a picture I saw and they really zoomed in on his shoes, and you can tell, so the CMU coaching staff, they all have on Adidas shoes, all the same ones. And he had the same color shoes on, but he had them in Nike. So you see some black tape throughout the shoes, so you can kind of see 3 little stripes, so it kind of looks like an Adidas logo. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he's got the picture where he's wearing these glasses, and you can see a little blue light flashing in his glasses corner. Yeah, and that's kind of why it's like this is really being ramped up now. It went from, oh, there's a person there, to this additional information. And all of a sudden, it's like that story is being pushed up. Central Michigan has their own independent investigation going on right now.
Now they're also looking into the Michigan Ball Boys being involved, because apparently they were, by a team reported to someone that they were like, hey, watch out, they'll go do this. That means pass. Like, put the ball by the side of their head on the sidelines. That means pass from the Ball Boys on the opposing sidelines. And another team said they never saw it. The ones that they were warned about, they never witnessed it, but there was a complaint made to the team about that. I was like, the Ball Boys? Oh my God.
That's impressive.
I was like, that is impressive. I was like, if that actually had any legitimacy, I'd be like, wow, this is deep. I mean, this is
some
like
AI shit, I swear.
Yeah, no doubt. It's
Michigan's going to start complaining, saying everything's AI. They're AI and us. They're coming after us.
Well, I did tell you, because again, there were reports last season, the Oregon Washington game. They bought the tickets for them. There's that photo of someone taking a video, whether that was legit or just someone else, I don't know. But this weekend in Utah, Oregon pulled up visors on the sideline in front of the coaches while they were doing some of their play calls. And I was like, like we said, whether they were trolling about it or actually like, who knows? But it was like the visors are out again.
It feels like every day something new is coming out. There's something new every single day. You know, it was the Oregon game for a couple days. Now we got the Central Michigan thing. It's fun. I'm loving it so far. I'm absolutely digging
it. Right?
That's why I'd stay out of it. I'm like, well, let's see what happens. But it's just more and more and more and more stuff comes out. It's like just more even alleged stuff. It's like I couldn't even think to make up, hey, the Ball Boys are kind of doing so similar. I couldn't even make that up.
No.
Like, so there has to be. You think after all this, as they say, when there's smoke, there's usually fire. Well, when there's literally heaping piles of smoke everywhere, shit is burning somewhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's all over the Michigan campus, burning in flame.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what, like, for this instance with this, because Stallion's not there now, apparently. And now, Michigan's not happening. If true, alleged accusation, honestly. What do they do? What do they look against these other teams now?
Yeah, do they do something this year if they find out some
Well,
heat?
no, I mean, I'm just saying on the field now, from now on, do they look dominant or not? Because they're not going to be out there with these handful of signs on the sideline anymore. Those got thrown away immediately, I'm sure. Italians isn't going to be there. So are they going to look dominant, or are they going to all of a sudden go, oh, that's the real Michigan? You know,
Is it Rutgers they have this week?
I think they already played Rutgers. I'm almost positive.
yeah.
Oh, no, they have Purdue.
Oh, yeah, Purdue. But then they have Penn State and Ohio State.
Yep, and they finished with Penn State and Ohio State back to back, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. They got Maryland in between. So they got Purdue this week. Then they got Penn State next week. Then Maryland.
Then Maryland, then Ohio State. Okay.
I closed those tabs, unfortunately, so I couldn't pull their schedules. So I couldn't remember exactly which one it was. But we're going to see how that plays out. I mean, what an entertaining story. The memes are just great.
It's a great time to be on social media.
It's just nonstop.
Well, guys.
That's where I'm at. Is there any other topic on the Cal game, Utah game recap, or CFB rankings we would like to touch on? Because you guys are locked in your score predictions, your stuff with you with dictator rules. Except for Sean.
Yeah, Sean's too busy being a cookie man tonight. But no, this weekend I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't expect to see anything crazy. I expect Oregon does what they do. They're going to run the ball all over the field. Bo Nick's probably going to throw for 300 yards. I expect him to put up, somewhere in the ballpark of 40, 50 points. Should win by 20 plus. Anything less than that, probably unacceptable. It's just it's such a talent gap on the field this weekend being at home. If they really want to prove they're one of the best teams in the country, they come out in a game like this and they absolutely put their foot on Cal's throat.
That is the wrong time, Ben.
What time do we have this weekend?
2:30 Pacific, so it should be 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central.
Oh, 2:30 Pacific. Okay, fair enough. I guess I didn't even know what time the game was this weekend.
Yeah. It's an oddball time this week.
Yeah.
Everybody's still complaining that they're not. Why don't they give us the time for next week? Because usually they do, like Sunday before, and they're not giving us the USC time until after this week's over. And people are like, well, we got lives. We have to plan some of this shit.
Well, even for the people going to the games and shit like that, you know what I mean? Like, you like to get this planned out and at least, have it figured out. I get it. It's tough, but
yeah,
they're going to put their best games in their best slots. It makes sense.
I want a night game. I want Autzen 7:30 under the lights. Yeah.
I think they're waiting to see what USC and Washington does. USC loses, drops out of the top 25. It's going to be like, whatever.
Yeah.
If they beat them and stay in, it'll be more of a significant bearer on the conference race and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think if UW wins this week, they handle USC. I think we're going to have a night game next week. That's the other slot that's still open, that 7:30 slot. I think if USC finds a way to win, like I said, all of a sudden this becomes a very, very important game for
most. It's a 4:30 game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it'll be, in that afternoon time slot if USC finds a way.
I'm okay with 4:30 or 7:30. Either one of those late game starts. But I like the Autzen at night is just, it's a different.
I would like a night game. We've been having these afternoon games, which is great. It's prime time, good viewer spot. But the night games are nice, and we really haven't gotten to have those. They've all been early evening and afternoon games.
They've been running highlights the last couple of days of the last, I believe it was 2009 was the last USC Oregon Autzen night game.
No, it was 20. That was 2011.
2009.
No, 2011. That's when Matt Barkley beat Oregon in Hudson.
Yeah, but 2009 was the good one, though. That's when.
Well, that's when we beat them, but I'm saying
that's when
night game
LaMichael.
against USC Hudson was.
That was the game that LaMichael and shit.
Was only.
The other back that was with LaMichael.
Barner.
Huh?
Well, that was Barner and
Barner, yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, I think next week I'd like to see a night game next week, especially because Oregon's they're supposed to be releasing some black jerseys for next week. We haven't seen black this year, so I'm kind of curious.
The black at night. Oh.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm really hoping UW takes care of business this week, and we play USC in the dark next weekend in some new black unis. I think that shit would look so clean.
I think that's what we had in 2009 when we smoked them.
Wasn't it on Halloween night in 2009
yes.
too?
Yes.
Yeah, I am remembering right. Yeah.
I'm glad we're not playing any weird game on Halloween night. I'd be worried. You never want to play on Halloween night.
No, weird shit happens, man.
Yeah, fight night. Yep.
Well, gentlemen, I think that wraps us up for the night. We've gone on quite a bit longer than I probably would. But yes, you are correct. 5:30 p.m. Eastern, Pac-12 Network, Oregon versus Cal. We don't expect any fireworks. Hopefully not. Michigan's wild.
I'll put it this way. If Oregon loses this game to Cal, you won't see me next Sunday or Tuesday.
If Oregon loses this weekend, I'm buying my tickets to the San Diego Bowl right now. I'll go watch them play like NC State or something like that. That's fine. It'll be a cheap way for me to get to the bowl game. If they're playing in San Diego or Vegas in one of these shit bowls, I'm there. I'll go watch Ty Thompson throw it around for $250.
I don't think we have to worry about that, luckily. But 5:30 p.m. Eastern, Pac-12 Network, Cal, Oregon, and people typing in the chat. Yes. Tony, quack. All but yeah, please, everyone in the chat or watching later on, please do join us here on the Oregon channel every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time, some Pacific, for the Oregon Live show. Hello, Jess. Charlie Cruz is calling me for some reason. I do live. But every Tuesday here, and then join us every Saturday, usually within an hour of the game ending for the Oregon post-game live show right here on the Oregon channel. And also, there's our links. But please, gentlemen, tell them where they can find you online if they want to follow you.
Spaz still hasn't figured out the whole point into your name thing yet. I see over there. I see some random fingers flailing. Spaz, let me help you out here. You can follow me at Wait Who's Derek on Twitter.
I don't blame Spaz. I'm really dyslexic when it comes to camera. I always want to do this. Crap. I still do it. So.
Right there. You can follow me at Wait Who's Derek on Twitter. You know, I've seen a couple of you guys giving me a couple follows, so I appreciate that for everybody who has. If you haven't yet, give me a follow. Love to interact.
Yeah, it's me, Hunting Bear. You can find me other way.
So close. So
I was right there.
Where are you going?
No. Trying to figure it out. Okay, so yeah. Oh, no. Oh, there. Got it. Yeah. Hockey Classic, that's me right there, Hunting Bear at the Voice of College Football.
Bottom Bear. Follow him.
Bottom Bear. Follow me.
And yeah, Ben of
Give me
Explorer
that
Ben
guy.
Sam. I'm just Ben of Explorer Ben and Sam here on YouTube. And you'll find me here every week on the Before Game Live show, Before Game Post Game show, and every Sunday night on the main channel for Mark Rogers with the College Football App Mark show. And yeah, I pray no stressful week this week. This last week was so nice. So there we go. We got our bottom bear back.
There we go. Everything's right in the world again.
So, perfect time to call it a night. But once again, please, everyone, thank you for joining me. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't. It helps a lot. Make sure you subscribe if you can. And you can follow us all on medias. And we will see you this Saturday after the Cal game.
Follow my crappy Blazers, too. At least they won a game last night.
Wow, I'm impressed. Finally. All right, get out of here. Go away. Go away, everyone. Have a nice night. Oh. I apologize. Happy Halloween, everyone.
And happy Halloween.
Go eat some candy or something.
Ow!